reflection. Roberta, the floor is yours. So we are going to talk about emotional. Hi, everyone. We are going to talk about emotional attachment and its impact on decision making, self-control, and reflection. First of all, I would like to ask you guys if you know what emotional attachment is. Anybody would like to share what you know about emotional attachment? Huh? Attachment to relatives, yes. That is an attachment, of course. Yeah? Anybody else? Emotional attachment? Okay, attachment to what? Bad love or good love? What else? What else you guys think emotional attachment is? Children, you could be emotionally attached to your children. Like she said bad love, good love, but I like that because it means it could be positive or negative, right? Yeah? Let's see that. What is emotional attachment? Emotional attachment is a strong emotion bond that forms it's a strong emotional bond that forms between a person and someone or something, right? It doesn't only have to be towards a person, but you could be emotionally attached to something as well, important to you. It's the feeling of closeness, connection, and value that makes us want to stay near, to protect or hold on to that relationship or that object. Now, there are two types of emotional attachment. Two types. Healthy attachment, right? Which are those attachments that we build trust, stability, and resilience. And the attachment, the healthy one, that encourages empathy and support in relationships, right? That's the health attachments that we can develop, right? The healthy emotional attachment. There are two types. And now the unhealthy attachment can lead to dependency, fear of loss, poor self-control, or difficulty letting go, even when change is beneficial, right? The unhealthy attachment. So, with this being said, there are four main attachment styles that we are going to talk about. The first one, so let me just stop for a little bit and try to help you guys understand why we are talking about attachment styles, right? Why we are talking about emotional attachment. Because it's when we understand these emotional attachments, it's when we understand attachment in general. And let me open another pause here to say something within what I just said. This week, was it this week? It was this week. And that's what gave me, I've been asking spirituality, what do I talk about? What do I talk about? This patient came in, this patient that I had in my clinic, and she was very concerned about how attached she was to this one person that she just met, to this guy, and how emotionally attached she felt. Like she said, I'm so excited. Oh my God, he sounds to be so great. He sounds beautiful, and he is this and he is that. But I'm so excited. I can't stop thinking about him. And she said, and it's kind of like, I'm a little bothered with that. She said, I'm a little bothered with that because how do I control this? It's all like, I feel like a teenager, and I'm 40 something years old, and I feel like a teenager. And I go, and she goes, what do I do, like, to let go? Because I'm working, I'm thinking about him. We spoke. I said, well, what you need to do is to detach, right? And the reason why I'm talking about emotional attachment is only so we can understand how we detach emotionally from that something or that person, right? Because a lot of the times in life, we find ourselves stuck in a situation. And even deeper than that, not only stuck in a situation, but stuck in this loop, repeating the same situations, the same experiences, the same behaviors, the same over and over again. And that's why people get into relationships. We get into relationships where they are toxic, where they are problematic. And then you say, okay, I'm done with this person. I no longer want to engage with people that have these types of behaviors, with these types of people. I don't want to attract men like this anymore. I don't want to attract women like this anymore. I'm done. My next relationship, they say to me, Roberta, my next relationship is gone. I'm healed, man. I don't want, I am done with this. Few months later, the person gets in a relationship, and they come to me and they say, oh my God, Roberta, you're not going to believe. I say, what? You're happy? You're beautiful? Everything's great? And they say, no, I feel like I'm with my husband again, my ex-husband, all over again. Even the way the man laughs is the same. Like, what happened? How did I attract the same type of person around over and over and over again? The same. What this has to do, somebody's car is, well, maybe it's not us that is in here. But how did I attract Roberta? The same different person, but the same personality, the same characteristics, right? The person with the same issues that I always attract. Do you see what I mean? And that's why we are talking about emotional attachment. Is because when you start understanding and identifying your style of attachment, then you will be able to identify the issue and let go of it and detach, right? Do you guys see? All right, so there are 4 main attachment styles. The first one, so look into this and try to see what pertains to your characteristics or your issues or your traumas, right? What is it, right? Because a lot of the times, I do this all the time. When I'm watching somebody speak, I'm thinking, oh, look at that. My mom does that. Oh my God. I think about everybody except myself. Like, and then I go, Roberta, this is about you. So think about you in this moment when I'm sharing this, because this will help you with progressing, right? All right. So secure attachment. This is the first type of attachment. So the secure attachment style, first type of attachment style, the secure attachment style, beliefs, feelings are like this. I am worthy of love, and others are reliable. The behaviors are comfortable with closeness, trust in relationships, able to balance independence and intimacy. In adulthood, the person is healthy, a healthy communication, stable relationships, resilience in conflict. The anxious attachment style, when you're preoccupied, you're anxious. The beliefs and feelings is I fear being abandoned or not being enough. So think about the secure attachment. The beliefs and feelings are I'm worthy of love and others are reliable. The behaviors are I'm comfortable with closeness, trust in relationships, able to balance independence and intimacy. In adulthood is healthy communication, stable relationships, resilience in conflict. This is wonderful, huh? The secure attachment. The anxious is the beliefs and feelings is I fear being abandoned or not being enough. So look at this. Do you think you have the anxious attachment style? Behaviors is you seek constant reassurance, feelings insecure if partner pulls away, often worries about relationships. In adulthood, you may appear clingy, overly sensitive, or controlling in love. Now there's a third one, which is the avoidant, dismissive attachment, who feels I can only depend on myself. Others may let me down. The behaviors is keep emotional distance, avoids vulnerability, values independence over closeness. In adulthood is may resist commitment, struggle with intimacy, or shut down emotionally. Have you guys, anybody identify your style yet? There's one more. Disorganized, fearful, avoidant attachment. This one is you believe and feel I want closeness, but closeness feels unsafe. Like you want closeness, but then you're like, oh, this feels unsafe. Now this is the disorganized, fearful, avoidant attachment style. The behaviors is you push-pull dynamic, craves connection, but also fears being hurt. How many times we crave connections, right? But we fear being hurt, right? This is the disorganized, fearful, avoidant attachment. In adulthood, may have trauma history, struggles with trust, and cycles between closeness and withdrawal. Have you guys been able to identify? Yeah? Which one is more relatable to you, right? So there's the secure attachment, the anxious, preoccupied attachment. Because if we identify, we are able to be like, oh, so this is what I usually do. And this is me. And a lot of the times we think there is an issue in my relationship because she is at fault. It's her fault. Or because he is at fault. It's his fault. But it's never, I'm going to tell you this. I'm a psychologist, and I'm going to tell you this. It's never your partner's fault. I have news for you. If you're having issues in your relationship, it's never your partner's fault. It's always your fault. Why do you think? Why do you think it's always our fault? It's never our partner's fault.
No. And then,
Lack of experience?
yeah. And the romantic.
It could be as well.
Yeah. And the second, and then after the time passes, you get other type anxious. Second, maybe that one didn't work. So
because the experiences that we have builds who we are, right? So if you've had a lot of trauma in your life, you probably have a little bit of the anxious, preoccupied attachment, right? Because look at what they believe and they feel. They fear being abandoned or not being enough. So if you fear being abandoned or not being enough, you're going to struggle with the anxious attachment style, right? And their behaviors is they're always seeking constant reassurance, right? Feeling insecure, right? So that's what it is. And if the avoidant is, I can only depend on myself, the dismissive attachment. We all fall into a couple of these. One, maybe one we have to fall into, right? One of them. Anyways, I think I've been passing them back and forth, and you guys are looking at it as I'm speaking. And I think you are able to identify, right? A little bit of a few. Why this matters. Self-awareness, that's why it matters, right? Self-awareness. Knowing your style helps to identify why you react the way you do in relationships. See? Growth. It matters because of self-awareness, growth, and goal. That's why it matters. The attachment styles can change with therapy, healing, and save relationships. Goal, moving towards secure attachment where balance, trust, and healthy self-worth are present, right? That is the goal, right? To move to secure attachment, right? So how emotional attachment influence decisions? This is a very important one, right? Because it does. So it's biased towards familiarity, favor what feels safe and comfortable. So how emotional attachment influences decision? Again, fear of loss, aversion, hard to let go. How does emotional attachment influences decision, our decision making? Distorted risk perception, emotions cloud judgment. This one is very, very significant, right? Emotions clouds our judgment a lot of the times. You know, I hate to say this, but it is the truth. Narcissistic, psychopathic people that have tendencies to narcissism and psychopathology issues, tendencies. You don't even have to be one, but if you have tendencies, you know, fortunately and unfortunately, but fortunately for them, they are the best doctors out there, if you didn't know that. Scientifically proven, right? Best doctors are psychopathic and narcissistic personalities out there. You know why? Do you guys know why? They're one of the most successful people in businesses. They are the people that have most money in this world. Why do you think is that? Why? You think what?
Practical.
They become practical.
Yeah, they
logical. We have two
Logical.
sides, very good.
Yeah,
We have two sides of, we have two brains, the logical brain and the emotional brain, right? The girls that come to my office and say, Roberta, oh my God, crying, yelling, pulling their hairs because they don't know how to deal with this or how to deal with that. Or not even girls, people in general. It's because they struggle, because girls, we do work towards our emotional brain a lot more than men, right? Women. So I teach them that, yes, there are two brains, the logical and the emotional brain. And if we learn on how to control, right, or how to use the logical brain, I tell people you only use the side, your emotional brain, when you're feeling safe. When you leave your door, your house, to go to work, you turn on the logical brain. You turn off the emotional brain. Of course, you're not going to be cold. You're not going to say hi to your co-workers. Of course, you're not going to be completely cold like a freezer. You have to have, right? But what I'm saying is, you are at work, you got to use your logical brain. Imagine me as a therapist, a psychologist. I go to work and I'm crying with my patients. Every patient that sits there in front of me is crying, telling me issues. Imagine how I would feel at the end of the day. Horrible, right? I'll be like, oh my God, life is horrible. All these patients, right? You got to turn off your emotional brain. They teach us that in school when we're doing psychology, right? Because the best way to help people is using your rational brain. And that's why psychologists cannot help people that they are involved with. Because if Adriana's my cousin, right? Adriana, she's my cousin, guys. Adriana's my cousin, and she goes, Roberta, I have an issue. Can you help me? Can you do therapy? I'm going to say, unfortunately not. Not because it's the law. It's just, it is the law. But not because it's just because it's the law. It's the law for a reason, right? But it is the law because I'm emotionally involved in her life. And logically, I wouldn't be able to use just logic to help her. Do you see? And so, think about it. If I need to use logic to help somebody, the way I help every day, all the time. I had 9 patients today, right? If I have to use logic helping people, why can't I understand that I need to use logic to help myself? Why can't we do that? Use logic to help ourselves. Why do we insist in using our emotions when we're in the middle of a storm? And that's all we can access is our emotions. We cry, we roll around, we create a storm, drama, all of it. Why can't we use our logic, our logical brain, our rational brain to solve a problem? And that is what narcissists and psychopathic people do, because they don't use their emotions. They hardly have any. Psychopathic, none. And those people are the ones that thrive in businesses. Those people are the ones that are very successful. Those people are the ones saving your life in hospitals. Because they are not attached. They have no emotional attachment to your issue whatsoever. Do you see? All right, so identity and self-concept. How emotional attachment influences decisions. In identity and self-concept, attachment shapes who you are. Decision paralysis, stuck between logic and emotion. So, positive side of attachment. It builds commitment and resilience, encourages long-term planning, and it motivates sacrifice for loved ones. If you are healed, if you have done enough for yourself to the point that you are healed, then you are going to find positive connections, and you will be able to use this in a positive way where you can help yourself and help other people. But meanwhile, while you don't feel safe, you leave your house, you're doing business, you got to make a decision, a very important decision. If you cannot separate the decision you're making and your emotions, don't make that decision, because you're going to make the wrong decision. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you guys agree? If you don't, it's okay. Who doesn't agree? Tell me, because I would love to hear.
Agree.
Who does not agree? Okay. All right. right? The link between attachment and poor self-control. Emotional override. Emotions overpower reason. See? Emotions do overpower reason. That's why we need to be very careful with our emotions, because it overpowers reason. That's why when you're very excited about something, okay, let me give you an example of myself, me. I'm not going to talk about anybody else here. I'm going to talk about myself. When I'm very excited when I'm at the mall, when I'm at a store, I'm very excited. I get very emotional. I called Adriana the other day. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm driving to Saks, man." And she goes, "Oh my God, Roberta, you're not okay." I said, "I'm fine. What do you mean?" I said, I am great. I'm going to the best place of my life. It's right? And then she goes, "Oh my God." And she knew already. And I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. And I was not thinking, totally not rationalizing. Totally, I promise. Okay, so difficulty letting go, compulsive behaviors. Oh, there, yeah, totally compulsive behaviors when I'm shopping. Think about it. When do you use those behaviors, compulsive behaviors, right? A lot of the times, a lot of us, we are very compulsive when we are talking, when we are eating, when we are, right? We do a lot of that all the time. So we got to become aware of these things so we can fix them, right? The only way that we can fix, I'm aware of my shopping, by the way. I choose not to fix it. All right. Instant, there you go. Oh my God, they're talking about me. Instant gratification. Look at that. It gets worse. Craving rewards now. I go, "Roberta, you worked a lot this week. You deserve to spend a little bit of money," right? You crave, right? I want the reward now, right? Stress, weakness, control. Attachment, threats, reduce discipline. Isn't that true? No discipline at all when I'm buying stuff. Think about yourself too. When does these things happen to me? Where is it? Where is it that I need to fix, or just become aware so I can control a little bit? Instead of spending 200, I'm going to spend 100, right? Control a little bit. Identity. Oh, by the way, Josias loves to go to the mall with me, because we go in one door and out in the other door in about 5 minutes. He goes, no. All right, let's go. And I go, "Why did you even come here?" We went to the mall the other day. He goes, "Oh, I'm going to get you a perfume." And I was so excited. I'm like, "Oh, there we go." And we went in the store. Guess what? They didn't have the perfume I wanted. And I'm like, "Let's order." He goes, No, let's go. We'll go to another mall tomorrow. Did tomorrow ever happen? And we went, I told him, I've never been to the mall where I've never walked out without buying anything. And this time I did. So I guess he's being a positive influence in my life. Identity fusion. Threats to attachment feel personal. What does this mean? Threats to attachment?
Identify fusion.
Identity fusion is when fusion.
About the feel personal.
Threats to attachment feel personal.
For example, I consider myself anxious.
Okay.
So, how can I give you example? Could you?
Of what? The last
About
one?
the last one, yes.
Threats to attachment feel personal. When you feel threatened in your attachment style, when there's an attachment style, threats to the attachment feel personal to you. Do you guys understand it? No? Anybody understands this? Go ahead.
It's like it clashes with the other personalities. You attach to like emotional or gratification, so when they fusion each other, you feel threatened by it, and you take it personal. It's like you're doing a personal attack to yourself.
Exactly.
And your own mind. So you attach to certain behavior, and when like for instance, like let's say about like spending behaviors or eating or whatever, when they clash, you feel threatened. You go like, what's going on? What's happening? That's what it means, right?
That's what she said.
Exactly.
Right?
You guys understand
Okay.
now? Thank you for clarifying. Yeah. Okay. So the clinical psychology perspective. Attachment activates the limbic system, the emotional brain. That's what we were talking about. Look. Attachment activates the limbic system, suppresses the prefrontal cortex, the rational control. So attachment suppresses, smashes the prefrontal cortex, the rational control. See? More impulsivity and less regulation. It's hard for you to regulate your emotion when the attachment is negative, right? When the attachment is negative. Leads to maladaptive coping, codependency, and compulsive habits. Any habits that we have that are compulsive, the attachment, the negative one, activates these codependencies, those habits, right? And then we start coping with trying to cope with our problems with these negative behaviors, shopping, eating, and whatever we attach ourselves to. Toxic people, toxic relationships, right? When our heart is louder than our head, it's harder to stay in control. Isn't that true? Right? Strong feelings makes us chase comfort now. I want to eat now. I'm hungry. I'm going to drive by a drive-through. It's faster, right? It's now, right? Examples: overspending, texting, and next, emotional eating. There you go. What am I, the reflection questions, what am I most emotionally attached to right now? This is just for us to reflect. You don't have to answer. But if you want to answer, raise your hand, and I'll let you say whatever you want to say. What am I most emotionally attached to right now? Can you think of something? Anybody wants to disclose? No problem. How does this attachment affect my choices? How does this attachment affect my choices? Are you attached to somebody? Are you attached to something? Are you attached to a behavior, right? Have I ignored logic because of fear of losing it? How many times we stay in a relationship that is not working, and many of us have stayed years in a relationship that is toxic just because you ignore logic, right? Because you fear the fear of losing that person. And it's even not even the person that you fear of losing, it's your fear of losing your ideology, what you've created about that person that is not even that person that you think it is, that you created in your mind, right? A lot of the times we stay married to our creation, to our, illusion of what we think the person could be or could have been, right? Why healthy boundaries? What healthy boundaries can I set to balance feelings and reason? What are some healthy boundaries that I can set to myself to balance my feelings and reason? Never go shopping. Never drive to the mall without Josiah. Then I might as well never go, because If I go, I don't buy anything. Anyways, that was an example just so we can laugh. But it's the truth, by the way. All right. Emotional attachment can guide or misguide decisions. It lowers self-control when emotions override reason. Awareness helps restore balance between heart and head. The goal is use attachment as motivation, not a barrier. And the end of it. Thank you all. Thank you.